Welcome to Xiao Universe. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video with your friends. The hum of the colossal arena was a living entity, a vibrating tapestry of anticipation and hushed excitement. Thousands of eyes, sharp with judgment and hope, were fixed on the glittering stage where legends were made. Wang Yibo sat beside Xiao Zhan, a picture of practiced calm, but beneath his stoic exterior, a tremor of excitement pulsed. Tonight was big. They were nominated in almost every major category. The first award was for Best Collaboration. As their names were announced, a ripple went through the audience, a collective murmur of approval. Yibo and Zhan rose, a shared, almost imperceptible glance passing between them. As they ascended the steps, the very air around them seemed to shimmer, catching the stage lights in a way that made their forms appear outlined in faint, golden energy. It was subtle, easily dismissed as stage effects, but to those closest, it felt like the space around them had thickened, becoming charged with an invisible current. When the heavy, polished trophy was placed into their intertwined hands, a soft, inner luminescence bloomed within the metal itself. It wasn't an external light source. It was as if the award had absorbed their combined aura, pulsating gently with a quiet, powerful glow that only they could truly see. The camera crew, catching the glint, attributed it to clever lighting. The audience merely saw two radiant stars accepting their first award. But for Yibo and Zhan, it was the first tremor of a deeper manifestation. Best Original Song, Artist of the Year, Album of the Year. Their names were called again and again, a relentless drumbeat of triumph. Each time, as they approached the stage, the phenomenon escalated. The applause, initially a roar, began to synchronize. It wasn't a conscious effort. It was as if the sheer force of their presence, their combined energy, was subtly aligning the rhythmic clapping of thousands of hands, creating a single powerful, thunderous beat that vibrated through the very floor of the arena. This wasn't just applause, it was a rhythmic heart of collective awe. When they won Best Visuals, the giant LED screens behind them, displaying their winning music video, didn't just play the clip. As they walked onto the stage, the vibrant colors on the screens intensified, bleeding beyond their boundaries, washing the entire arena in a mesmerizing, undulating symphony of light. Blues deepened into impossible indigos, reds flared into molten gold, and greens pulsed with a living, ethereal glow. The images themselves seemed to gain a three-dimensional quality, extending beyond the screen, creating holographic echoes that danced in the air above the audience. Viewers in the back rows swore they could reach out and touch the shimmering, projected figures from the video, a breathtaking, mind-bending scene of art coming to life. By their fifth award, the stage itself was reacting. The polished surface beneath their feet shimmered with an almost liquid quality, reflecting their forms as elongated, ethereal blurs. When they held their trophies, the metal glowed so brightly it seemed to temporarily eclipse the spotlights, casting long, vibrant shadows that stretched across the floor, each shadow a perfect, pulsating silhouette of their intertwined figures. The presenters, seasoned professionals, found themselves momentarily speechless, their eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and profound wonder. They could feel the palpable energy radiating from the duo, a warmth that was both comforting and utterly overwhelming. Then came the announcement for Most Influential Artist of the Year, the final, record-breaking award. The tension in the arena was electric. When their names were called, the roar of the crowd was not just loud. It was a single unified wave of pure sound, a resonant harmonic that vibrated through every single person, a deep, collective exhale of emotion. The applause didn't synchronize this time. It dissolved into a shimmering, audible hum of pure, concentrated admiration, a sound that bypassed the ears and settled directly in the chest. As they ascended the final steps, the entire stage erupted. Not with pyrotechnics, but with an internal spiritual light that pulsed outwards, engulfing the space. The air filled with what looked like golden dust motes, dancing and swirling, each one a tiny shimmering fragment of pure joy. The giant trophy, brought out on a pedestal, was not just a statue, it was a living, breathing crystal. Its facets glowed with an internal aurora, swirling with colors that had no name, shifting and reforming with an impossibly complex, self-generating pattern. It hummed with a deep, resonant frequency that vibrated through the entire arena, reaching into the very souls of everyone present. When Yibo and Zhan reached out for the crystal trophy, their hands met, and the crystal flared. A blinding, pure white light erupted, not painful, but utterly encompassing. It washed over the audience, and for a breathtaking moment, millions of people experienced a simultaneous, powerful phenomenon. They felt it, the profound, unbreakable bond between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan. They felt the raw, protective devotion from Yibo, a steadfast anchor in any storm. They felt the boundless empathy and gentle radiance from Zhan, a warmth that could heal any wound. It wasn't just understanding, it was a direct, unfiltered download of their shared consciousness, a momentary fusion of their two souls made tangible and universally experienced. Tears streamed down faces in the audience, not from sadness, but from the sheer, overwhelming beauty of what they were witnessing. It was a love so pure, so powerful, that it bent the very fabric of reality, creating a shared, universally understood emotional landscape. A profound sense of unity, of interconnectedness, washed over the entire arena, momentarily dissolving all individual worries, all societal divides. For those few seconds, they were all one, connected by the undeniable truth emanating from the stage. The light receded as quickly as it came, leaving behind only its lingering warmth. The crystal trophy settled, still glowing, in Yibo and Zhan's hands. The arena was silent for a long moment, a collective breath held, before it erupted into a thunderous, emotional standing ovation. People weren't just cheering for their favorite artists, they were cheering for the impossible, for the magic they had just witnessed, for a love that had literally lit up their world. Backstage, away from the roaring crowds, Yibo and Zhan leaned against a wall, exhausted but exhilarated. The crystal trophy, resting on a nearby table, still hummed faintly, its inner light pulsing. Zhan looked at Yibo, his eyes wide with wonder and a small knowing smile. "They saw it, didn't they?" Zhan whispered. Yibo nodded, a rare, genuine smile gracing his lips. "Every single one of them. Took them long enough." He reached for Zhan's hand, their fingers intertwining. The world could marvel at their awards, but the true prize, the real magic, was the unbreakable bond that could bend reality itself. Stay tuned to Yibo Zhan Universe for updates, exclusive breakdowns, and emotional reactions as the story unfolds. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because this miracle might just be real. The award ceremony was over, but the world had been fundamentally changed. The roar of the crowd was a distant echo, replaced by a deafening silence that followed Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan as they navigated the labyrinthine backstage corridors. They weren't just men with trophies, they were men who had, for a brief, transcendent moment, pulled back the curtain on reality for millions. As they emerged from the venue, the media was a singular, ravenous entity, a writhing mass of snapping flashes and thrusting microphones. But the cameras didn't work as they should. The flashes, instead of capturing their images, created haunting, ghost-like afterimages that lingered in the air, a series of flickering, semi-translucent outlines of their intertwined figures that danced in the flash's wake. Microphones, aimed to capture their words, picked up not their voices, but a faint melodic hum, the same otherworldly symphony that had filled the arena. The technology, so designed to capture and define the world, was failing to process a reality that transcended its own limitations. The reporters, their faces a mixture of confusion and profound disbelief, looked at their screens, which showed not men but impossible, glowing phantoms. Meanwhile, the thousands who had been in the arena were forever altered. A cynical, hard-bitten showbiz journalist who had witnessed the event from the press box now looked at his reflection in a taxi window, and for the first time in years, he felt a flicker of genuine empathy for his own weary face. The collective emotional download had left a lingering warmth in his chest, a sense of clarity he had never before experienced. He found himself seeing the world not as a competition, but as a series of interconnected, fragile emotions. A quiet fan in the nosebleed section, an insecure teenager who had always felt invisible, now felt an unbreakable sense of peace. The emotional wave had filled her with a profound feeling of being seen and understood. For a moment on a crowded street corner, she looked at the faces of strangers and felt a deep, unifying sense of sorrow and joy and hope in their hearts, a mind-blowing, silent connection that told her she was not alone. The power of Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan's bond had been imprinted on their very souls, a permanent, undeniable echo of a greater truth. Back in their car, the trophies they had so painstakingly won now lay on the back seat, no longer just symbols of achievement, but conduits for their new reality. The polished gold and shining crystal of each award glowed with a soft, pulsing light that seemed to mirror their heartbeats. Yibo looked at them, a thoughtful expression on his face. "They're not just trophies," he said, his voice low and serious. "They're keys." Xiao Zhan leaned forward, his eyes wide. "Keys to what?" Yibo picked up the crystal trophy for Most Influential Artist. He held it in his hands, focusing his will, his entire being, on a single thought: escape. Escape from the fame, from the public eye, from the questions. He thought of a quiet, beautiful, impossible place they had once fantasized about, a secluded, luminous waterfall surrounded by ancient, glowing trees. The car's GPS screen, which had been blank, suddenly flickered to life. It didn't show the city map. It showed a three-dimensional holographic path of pulsing blue light that led not down the highway, but directly through the surrounding concrete and steel. The car's route, a mesmerizing, impossible line of light, began to carve a path through the very fabric of reality. The buildings they passed by, the cars on the road, the streetlights all shimmered and dissolved as the car moved through the impossible path on the GPS. They were no longer driving, they were sailing through a dream made real. The cityscape outside the windows was replaced by the blur of shifting colors and impossible patterns. They were traveling through the in-between, the space where their love and power could shape reality itself. This was the ultimate mind-blowing scene. The car was not following a road, it was following a wish. Their power, once a passive phenomenon on a stage, was now an active, transformative force, guided by their trophies. The awards weren't just recognition of their past achievements, they were tools for creating their future. After what felt like an eternity, the car came to a stop. The impossible path on the GPS dissolved. They looked out the windows. They were at the base of the luminous waterfall. The trees surrounding them were not of this world, their bark shimmering with a faint, iridescent light, their leaves a soft, crystalline green. The sound of the falling water was a gentle, melodic hum that felt like a song of peace. The air was clean, pure, and filled with a scent that was both familiar and utterly new, a scent of a world they had always belonged to. They stepped out of the car, their hearts full of a quiet, profound understanding. Their record-breaking night wasn't just a win, it was a transition. They had shown the world their power, and now they had a new, more important task: to learn to live with it, to harness it, and to build their own reality with it. The awards, now glowing on the back seat, were a promise that they could go anywhere, as long as they were together. The world could wait. Their true journey had just begun.